trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Yes, here we go. It is the TNF. It's the night we hand over the keys to use. And a wee flashback there to the old intro, Matt. We'll get copyrighted to fuck for it, I'm sure, but who cares? It was a wee bit of nostalgia there because we've been away for quite a while. I don't want to be too self-indulgent, but in separate industries, both myself and the judge have recently had decent wee sort of promotions with our work and stuff like that. So we've been a wee bit busy, to be fair to say, Mark. It just shows you, the bad guys come good sometimes in life. Do you know what I mean? So,
a broken clock is always right twice a day, Bhoycie. But amazing when you just sit back and watch it all unfold. You can see what you thought was going to happen, but it doesn't make it any easier when you watch it, mate. If anything, it makes it worse. But I'm looking forward to getting stuck into it today, mate. We've even spoke about O'Neill leaving. Now, my nonsense coming in. All the results or anything at all, really. So it'll be good to kind of catch up with you on it.
Of course it will be, mate. There's so much. I mean, I couldn't think of a title really that was more apt than what have we missed? It's not been a lot, guys. It's not been a lot in the 4 weeks, and I appreciate the fact that there's a lot of you joining us live. We're nearly at 100 already, so thank you very much to those who have still been hanging around for the bus. Remember, do give us a wee like, share, slag the hair, all that sort of carry on. Remember, hit the subscribe button, follow, all that stuff, whatever it was, Pie Sports, yada yada. And we've got enough to get on with without doing all that promotional nonsense, though. We need to get stuck into it, mate. I don't even know where to begin. A football club that, when we sort of took a sabbatical, basked in a run of 7 wins for me under St. Martin O'Neill. Let's not lie that the football was great throughout that time, because it wasn't, but it's a results-driven business, and he actually told you what his MO was when he got the job, and that was his tactics were going to be win football matches. Boy, oh boy, did he do that, and there was no shame in the defeat to Midtjylland. When you actually look at their record in Europe, they were top of the Europa League at that point. I think that took them to 4 wins from 4, if I'm not mistaken. So there was no shame in that. Does it make it a poison chalice for a manager, or did the foundations actually get laid better than you could ever believe to go into a Celtic job? You're meant to take it up in a position of crisis. That's what Martin did. He took it up when the club felt like it was in a bit of a crisis. And he steadied the ship. He set the tone for Wilfred Nonsi to be able to come in with, I think, an easier job in his hands than had he took over 8 games prior. Of course, it's not panned out that way. It's 4 defeats from 4. It's been an astonishing turn of events since the new manager's been in. We've got off-the-field issues that are never-ending. We've got a Green Brigade that's banned. We've got Michael Nicholson doing another scripted interview yesterday. We've got Peter Lawwell announcing he's always was going to announce that he was leaving, by the way. Don't fall for the pish that this is related to fan abuse. That is utter PR nonsense. We've now had today rumours circulating by people well placed in the Scottish football journalism world that Nonsi was having talks about his future with the board already today after just 4 games and 2 weeks in charge. Nothing seems to have came of that as of yet. But as we all know with Celtic statements, they do tend to appear awfully late. I did note on Celtic's official page, I'm just going to go double check it now to see if it's changed at all, but the only press conference that they had shown was Bernardo today. Did the manager do a presser or did he not? That would be something I think would be...
Thursday?
Aye, there's a presser from Bernardo from an hour ago. I didn't watch it.
No, I don't blame you.
I didn't watch it.
The less Jeremy Culloch and fuck media in the world. Listen, to be honest with you, boys, like Peter Martin was one of the sources, so I'll kind of like I'm 50-50 whether to trust him or no. But I would gain a bit of respect, a small ounce of respect, if the board went like, do you know what? We've learned a lesson here. We're going to sack him. For me, that would be a good business decision. For me, that would be like a board at least beginning to look in the mirror and see flaws. You know what I mean?
Acknowledge its shortcomings.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brian Wilson was speaking last night. Well, the video went out last night, and if you look at his last maybe minute and a half, he spoke about we just need to find some common ground. Let's just get together. He was talking like he wanted another chance. We want to have a chance to fix this. Now, that's the first time we've heard this language for anybody on the board. Who I feel like if anybody wants to maybe, engage with the fans a bit more, maybe the board have noticed that they need the fans more than they thought they needed the fans, boys. And I think if they engage with the fans a bit more, lift these stupid bans, but with proper, promises for each side. Look, we're not going to do this. Okay, don't you let the police and the stewards abuse us, and etc. Get the Green Brigade back in with certain provisos to that. Get a manager in place very, very quickly, and at least start to engage with the support again. You might see a fan base that might just give this board one more chance, because we're willing. We want the board on January 1st to have 5 new players sitting at Lennoxtown, and for our jaws to drop and go, wow.
They certainly would drop.
I mean, it's going to drop is my arse when I see the team that comes out on the 3rd of January against Rangers. But but me and you, and even me and you are probably, don't forget, there's a bandwagon that me and you have been driving for a long time, and people are beginning to jump on it now. But me and you have been vehement for years now about this board. But even us, there's room in my head to give this board another chance. Should they do the right things right? Get the fans back on board. Get some players coming in straight away. Get some rumours. The Celtic are bigger than some players. Sack this manager. I would give them one more chance. And the board have got a gift to know. The gift is, look, if Lawwell, and they can start to build some bridges again. The ball is in their court. Let's just see what they do, boys.
Let's see what they do indeed. It's been a whirlwind time, Martin. I'm not quite sure how we start it, but I think if we cast our mind back to Martin leaving, the lead up to those 3 games that Nonsi first had in charge, I excluded Dundee United one. I think that one is one of those sticky fixtures. I think if you remember, we drew it around this time last year against Dundee United. I'm pretty sure I'm right there. We drew under Rodgers around this time last year at Tannadice. Now, whilst it could be a sticky fixture, I think the other 3 were so stark in terms of the level in the case of Roma and the level of importance in the case of top 2 sides clash in the league and a League Cup final. Do you not find, when you look back at that it's great to be able to have the opportunity and the gift, as you call it, to fix errors, Matt? But we also need to look at how these errors come about. Now, what would another week difference have made in leaving Martin O'Neill in charge for another week? Now, many feel that could be undermining a new manager. And I'm sorry, that new manager was undermined from the get-go, because rather than announce him when they'd agreed terms, they waited for all the paperwork to clear first before announcing him. Now, they might not be able to do it for legal reasons, but I certainly think it could have been rubber stamped, if not officially. It could have been sort of like, we've got a guy, we're waiting on red tape. They decided to keep him under the radar. I also feel when you look at his appointment and you actually look at the reappointment of Martin O'Neill, and just compare them, Mark, what Celtic's actual messaging was like when O'Neill was appointed as interim boss. It was a return of a messiah. It was seriously pumped out there by Celtic to get on board with it. I don't actually think they gave Nonce, who's the permanent manager, the same flowers, if I'm perfectly honest with you. I think it was far without that. And that tells me a couple of things. Is there a sense of underwhelmment on their side that the O'Neill thing was coming to an end? He had overachieved, punch above his weight, and there was almost a sadness about them that they felt deep down, this is a downgrade in a sense, rather than when O'Neill came back. I think Nonce deserved the hype job that O'Neill got because he's coming in as the permanent boss. And for whatever reason, Celtic didn't feel it necessary to do so. I find that very interesting. I think the games that they gave him as his first 3 matches, as I say, I'll go back to, very interesting. That to me was high octane pressure matches that were obviously going to be played by Nonce in his way. That's the type of manager you've decided to go for. Now, for me, Wilfried Nonce has a style over substance at this moment in time. And I think his pattern matches that, to be perfectly honest with you. He has a style with his pattern, no substance to it. But what frustrates the life out of me is that's the type of guy you've went for, because he's going to live and die on his sword of his football, and I hate the term, philosophy. That was always going to be his way. This is like Nottingham Forest appointing Ange Postecoglou after the transfer window had shut. When they did that, you knew at Forest, he's going to play Ange Postecoglou football without Ange Postecoglou signings. How did it end up? I think you're looking at the same movie, mate, with Nonce. But that, you knew he was going to be that. This guy is a summer appointment manager. He is a manager you have to get. The time that, ironically, Postecoglou, to bring him up again, we had when we got him, albeit it was too late in the summer window, by the way, for my liking, because they fanned about how. But when Postecoglou came in, he had weeks still on the grass, on the training ground, and when he did get his recruitment, he had his fingerprints all over it. People think it was Celtic thinking in a new way. It wasn't. It was default. But the formula worked, and nonetheless, how they got there. With this guy coming in, putting square pegs in round holes, was always going to be what he did. So there should be no surprise there. So why give him his first 3 games being against the league leaders you've just cut the gap on? Roma at home in a crucial Europa League game, by the way, made crucial thanks to the 3-1 Feyenoord win, our best display of the season, and then a League Cup final. What would another week's difference have made? I don't really see the problem in doing that, and it gives Nonce time to realise Carlisle isn't actually in Scotland as he beds in to life in this country. They went all in on him. He's went all in on himself as well, to be honest with you. And the end result was, Mark, 3 defeats out of 3 in 3 huge games in both league terms, and it was 3 competitions: League, Europe, League Cup. 1 trophy down, 1 trophy gets further in the distance, and qualification for Europe becomes nigh on impossible. That's damning, mate. A damning start. Timing is everything in life, they say. And I do feel he's not been flung up, sold up the Swanee, by the way. He was always going to do it this way. This is who he is. But it's the wrong movie at the wrong time for Wilfried Nonce. And those 3 games is a damning indictment on the Celtic board, not reading a room, not seeing a scenario strategically and purposefully as a board with any sporting knowledge on them whatsoever, and a manager who's came in with his own principles, which is fine. It'll be one of the reasons they hired him. But secondary, a level of arrogance that has not allowed him to subtly tweak the tactics or subtly make changes, and instead, rather than keep a ship steady that was sinking, he's decided to turn it into 100 mile an hour, the drunk sailors on the wheel, and hopefully it'll work, because if it works, it'll look fucking brilliant. But if it doesn't, it'll smash into the iceberg like the Titanic. We got the latter.
Well, I think the writing was on the wall when they did a press conference to announce him when nobody was there next to him, Bhoycie. That is kind of, that just shows you the confidence they had in that guy. Nobody wanted to back him up at the table. You know what I mean? That tells me that Tisdale has got the ear of somebody else that is the part of the board. Probably Dermot Desmond. He's probably got his ear. And hence why you've seen the board yesterday look not too impressed. I think they would push a button on this guy before Dermot Desmond would, to be quite honest with you. And I think that was all lined up for this guy to fail from the very beginning, Bhoycie. The club looks so fractured when you see a new manager get announced by himself the same week where anybody with a brain would have gave it another week to let the new manager maybe sit on the wing, let O'Neill just guide us past a Hearts game that he set up as a top of the table clash, a European game that he set up as a game that could put us through to the last to the knockout stages rather, and a cup final that he deserved to manage him because he got us past Rangers, and a game that was tricky enough, even against 10 minutes. It was a tricky game. It was a good one for Celtic at Hampden, and O'Neill deserved that week, but maybe the guy deserved more time and all to kind of assess what was going on about him, you know what I mean? And I think he's been set up to fail, Bhoycie. And he came in, and I wrote the guy off 20 minutes after I got home against Hearts. So I came home, and I saw what I watched, and I thought he did not need to put that pressure on himself. He did not need to change things the way he did. He did not need to stand there with a white £6.99 eBay tactics board with blue dials on it. He did not need to be waving his hands about there like he was trying to get a bird's attention at a disco. You know what I mean? Telling the players to calm down while he jumps about like somebody galloping across the a dance floor, as I say to you. And he just put it on himself, Bhoycie. He really did. And then
Is that arrogance? Just before you go into your next point, see, this is what I'm trying to work out. Is this someone being true to themselves, or is there arrogance involved in that, Mark? Where you have not, and I don't use the option of naivety, because he's a 48-year-old man who's been in football since he was fucking 15, 16, right, at some sort of level. So this isn't, you can't put it down to naivety when you've been in the game 30 years, right? You can't. It's ignorance, arrogance, or it's utterly stupid, and as you say, needless pressure upon yourself.
Well, I think when you come in and there's been a formula that's got bad players working and playing well, but they're winning games. In fact, 50-50 whether you're going to play well or play shit under O'Neill. But he got his points, Bhoycie. There was a formula there to get the best out of some of the players. And I bet you in amongst the squad as well, the squad were just beginning to click again. There was players beginning, like McGregor and all the rest of it. Scales played his best football in the last 2 seasons under O'Neill, in my opinion. He looks like a waste of a jersey now, by the way. But and he just decided just to rip that up and just start again, you know what I mean? And that is a level of arrogance. I know the guy has to do pre-season during tough matches, but for me, he could have did that. He could have betted that in, Bhoycie. He could have did that slowly but surely. He had 3 tough games, and if it was 1 week, you didn't have to fuck it about. It was this week. It was last week, rather. If it was 1 week where you thought to yourself, this just is not the time to do it. You know, you could say arrogance, you could say it's confidence, you could say intolerance to anybody else's opinions. But whatever the reason was, Bhoycie, it showed that the guy was just oblivious to what was happening about him. Oblivious to the fact that what Celtic is. I mean, I think language barrier and all the rest of it, it can be misquoted. But when you say things like winning isn't everything, that's akin to Elvis Presley at Dundee telling the Dundee fans, if you want trophies, you've hired the wrong guy. It did not go down well, Bhoycie, and I still think Stephen Presley's still trying to recover for that. That guy's still trying to recover, and you talk about a fan base who aren't expecting trophies, but you don't need to tell them not to expect trophies. The same way Ross Desmond didn't need to tell us that European football is a pipe dream. You don't want to hear the folk make decisions say these things, Bhoycie, because it makes you think, oh, what's the fucking point then? What is their ambitions, you know? And in the same vein, I think Nonce gave his Celtic the same problems with some of these. And Bhoycie, the parallels between him and Russell Martin are through the roof. He starts to mention, that's twice now he's mentioned his mum texting him and his mum phoned him. Russell Martin was doing that sort of stuff. My ma's asking how I'm up. And then he's coming away with like stats. He's coming away with like riddles and I can see the formulas working. If you just can't see that, you're not football man. The players know how it's working. When I look at the Celtic players, I see a Celtic team that's looking more and more confused every single time he shouts him out at the byline. There was 3 subs last night, and he stood talking to them for about a minute and a half. They freed them individually, giving them all different bits of information and bits of advice, whatever it was, Bhoycie. And I don't think anyone of them looked any of the wiser for it. And anytime you see Celtic clicking on the park, he shouts them over. And before you know it, with his involvement, Celtic have now begun to get worse on the park again. Same as half-time yesterday. The tide was turning a wee bit towards the end of the half. United were getting back into the game a bit. But half-time came, and he managed to turn a brilliant performance into the first half into the absolute shit we watched in the second half. And see, when we spoke about Rodgers materially impacting the Celtic players on the park positively, when his tactics, his substitutions, and we all felt that was still in his game. This guy seems to have an ability to make Celtic worse every time he speaks. And I can see a disconnect between...
He's the common denominator, mate. He's the common denominator because Celtic's played that well in the first half. The only difference to that Celtic team is they spent 50 minutes with the manager. That is the truth, mate.
See when you're getting... Sorry, buddy. See when you're getting... You're shouting the players there 5-6 times a match. All you're doing is complicating things, boys. And what it tells me is what you've done Monday to Friday or Monday to Wednesday or Wednesday to Friday or whatever it is, how much time you've had to prepare for that match, it isn't clear instructions. And that tells you at any level of arrogance that you can't do it as quick as that, Bhoycie. Now, he's got to have a pre-season during matches, as he said. Well, do you know what? See, in that instance, I would just stick to the basics, stick to what was working, slowly but surely build yourself into the club. Now, I said that before he even started. I said he's got 1 week to make or break his Celtic career. And it sounded harsh before I said it. But I said he can either go in, put Hearts in their place, get us something in Europe and win a cup his first week. That's his Celtic career. Etched in stone, he's going to do well, Bhoycie. The fans have got a buy-in straight away. And instead, he fucked it. And there's no going back. And also, Bhoycie, as well, people are missing the fact that he's come in and he's like a really, really bad group of players, right? But he's made every single one of them look worse. And that's nothing to do with people saying, oh, he's only got the hand he's dealt with. No, that's true of any manager at this time of the year. But he's made the players look worse. And that's when you know a manager is either out his depth or just no getting where he's at, Bhoycie. As you said, he's in the wrong movie.
Yes. See what frustrates me, Mark? And I think we've had the beautiful contrast in terms of management. Now, I'm a bias when it comes to Martin O'Neill. I am, right? And you know I am, because I've ranted and raved about him. We speak about the bold stuff has been consistent on this channel. My affection for Mr. O'Neill has been unwavering on this channel since you started doing it. Do you know what I mean? You know that, I know that, right? However, I think using this example isn't my bias coming out. It's just factual. Martin simplified things, and there was a contrast in comments that I don't know if you're aware of that was really, really eerie. I'll give you both. First example is Martin on his first press conference says, effectively, my memo is win football matches. That's my style of play, if you like. Mm-hmm. Wilfred Nonce says, I want to go beyond results. Now, see when someone gets beat, mate, I'm now of the mindset that you're insulting my intelligence, that you're talking pish and trying to make me feel confused about what is the outcome, which is the key here in a results-driven business. The outcome was shit for us all. You foot the blame, and you've just tried to steer me up another path. That's what I think you've done. And you know what? Unfortunately, and no offence, your English ain't good enough, mate, either, to have done that very well. It was clumsily laid out that you want to go beyond results. Trophies aren't everything. What piss are you talking? And then we'll get the other one. And he said something along the lines of, again, I paraphrase everything, as you know. We don't do our homework on the bus. And it makes the stories always sound better. There was another one about, it's not just about results, it's about becoming better humans or something like that. And we'll be better human beings and everyone growing and developing as it. Martin O'Neill, I watched as Celtic manager. I think it was in one of the pitch side sort of I think it might be after the Rangers game. He said, you know, and he's a great lad as well. Well, to be honest with you, makes no odds to me. He's contradicted himself as he's talking. He goes, great player, and he's a great lad as well. And he goes, well, actually, it makes no odds to me if he's a great lad or not, as long as he's doing it on the pitch. And now that difference to me is someone who knows how to stay in their lane and influence what he can affect, and another one who, again, with that example, Mark, is trying to take you on a merry dance around the houses and thought-provoke you things that you didn't need in your psyche. Will Luke McCowan become a good dad one day in his life, for example? You know what I mean? Is that what we're meant to be thinking about when I'm watching Celtic? Do you know what? At least Liam Scales now will be a brilliant best man for his fucking pal's wedding. You know what I mean? Because look at his confidence oozing out him. You know, just as a human. We got him 3-0 the day, but he now thinks he's a left winger. So, he's added more strings to his bow. Nobody fucking cares. So you're either stupid again, or, and my take is, you're a deflection artist. Postecoglou was good at this as well. A deflection artist when the result is the key thing that everyone knows, everyone thinks about, and you know it more than anything at a club like Celtic. When you start talking in riddles about beyond results, about evolving as people, being just as important as results, I think you think I'm a fool. And let me tell you this, I am. But in reality, I've got half a brain. And you ain't fucking pulling the wool over my eyes with that bollocks, mate. Results-driven business, Mark. When the result goes pish, get your fucking hands up, own your shit, apologise, and tell me what you're going to do to fix it. Do not come to me, though, with other stuff about and deflecting the importance of the result and putting that importance somewhere else that's actually fuck all to do with football.
Oh, spot on, mate. He's just trying to talk his way out of the situation, Bhoycie. As you say, he's not got the not even the vocabulary. He's not even got the ability to do it. You know what I mean? I was watching him and he was getting asked questions, and he was like thinking. He was getting asked questions, and the answers he was given, it didn't appear like he knew the answer. He was just waiting for the words to come out. Do you know what I mean? And I thought,
so true.
That's not a man that's got his head screwed on, Bhoycie. Now, see if he is jet lagged, see if he is tired, see if he is in the wrong movie or rest it. I can give him a wee bit of leeway on some of it, Bhoycie. But when you come out and you say some of the shit he's been saying, when you see the players don't feel ownership. I don't feel like he's my manager, boy. I feel like this guy is not going to be here for long. I've got no warmth to the guy whatsoever. There's no warmth to him. And I think a big part of the no warmth to him is the board didn't sell him to us. The fan media, and I don't like the fan media asking what type of pizza you like and the rest of it. But boys, if there was a manager that needed the buy-in, that was a manager that needed the buy-in, especially replacing O'Neill, when there was a lot of folk that were a bit disgruntled that the guy didn't have to go and all the rest of it, and we're like, oh fuck, really, I can stay. If it was a guy that needed sold to influence podcasters and media outlets out there, it was him, and he wasn't given that. He wasn't given that, Bhoycie.
And compare that with as well how O'Neill was introduced. How could they go so differently with this one? And you're right, he needed it more than ever. That
tells me, like, I think there's been two camps with this. Bhoycie. I think Tisdale has got somebody's ear. If it's maybe it's Lawwell's ear, maybe that's why Lawwell did go. Maybe it's Desmond's ear. But I don't think the board and the person who allowed the sleeping doctor to make that decision, I don't think they're aligned, Bhoycie. I don't think the board back him. I think the board would press a button just now if they could. And it's just about persuading the decision maker, whoever that is. You know what I mean? And you can see it, Bhoycie. I mean, see if he's your man, you're sitting at that top table. This is Celtic Football Club, and you're saying, this is my man. This is we're backing him. This is why we've brought him here. This is why we think he's going to be successful. You don't allow the guy up in front of Raman Bardwaj and fucking some prick for Sky Sports News to ask whatever questions they want of him. There's been no media protection given to this guy. Same as Russell Martin. There was no media protection whatsoever. And it only ends one way. When it's gone bad, the fans turn, the media turn, and it just goes bump rapidly. Now, Bhoycie, I think if that guy was sacked after the Roma match on Thursday morning last week, it would not have been harsh. Now, for somebody to say that a guy ran the building for 7 days and getting the sack, it wasn't harsh. It sounds absolutely bonkers, Bhoycie, but it's the fact of the matter is, I don't think it would have been harsh. And if he gets sacked tonight, which I don't think he will, by the way, it won't be harsh either. I think, and there's been I watched the guy speak. I watched him at Hampden in a tunnel before we came up with the team. I said to Alana, I said, I don't see this guy as a Celtic manager. That doesn't seem right to me watching this. It just felt like, but somebody comes in, they're brand new, they're kind of got a wee buzz about you. You watch him and you listen to him and you go, this is beginning to feel normal. This is beginning to feel normal again. I've not felt that once about the guy, and I don't think it's just based on results. I think it's
there's something fishy. You're right.
The guy's personality is just not right. The guy, he just does not fit, Bhoycie. Nothing to do with the fact that he's French or he's black. If anybody wants to put that accusation at Celtic fans, which probably will be the case eventually, nothing to do with any of these things, Bhoycie. We want every single Celtic manager, chairman, CEO, player to succeed. You know what I mean? Almost as much as we want our own careers to succeed, we want to make succeed at Celtic. So we want nothing but the best, but we know sometimes when we've been sold an absolute lemon. And you can see in him, Bhoycie, you can see when he's sitting up in front of the media that he doesn't believe what he's saying. The media sitting there at the end with their typewriters are just waiting for him to say something stupid. Every single match we're playing just now, there's a meme out it. There's a meme somewhere. If it's Rio Tati going like this and fucking doing the robot, before that, you've got him with his wee tactics board, players looking in the opposite direction when he's walking
Kieran
past.
Tierney subbed on, subbed off.
That happened. I don't know if this was caught by the Sky cameras at Hearts.
Go on.
But that happened at the Hearts game and all. Somebody ran off to come on, to come off. Then they told you they're coming off and ran back on again.
Do you think he knows who's who?
I don't know, Bhoycie, but you'd think
that was my instinct was he's not quite said the right name about the right person.
Bhoycie, you know what it could be? He's probably got that much gobbledygook and that much information coming out his mouth that when he's telling Steve Woods who I'm taking the left back.
He doesn't use people's names. He doesn't use names because we're all special. It's just special person number one, special person number two.
Exactly, and maybe exactly. Well, Bhoycie, I'll put it to you in as simple as possible. If your communication levels and your levels of ability to get something as small as who's getting subbed at the park right, then how the fuck are you expected to run a football club and make the right decisions on the park if you can't get that right 2 games out of 3?
Mate, do you know what's weird when you were saying about the memes? I think the biggest meme is actually the starkest and the most damaging one. This football club has decided to go for a guy who looks like a fucking shitey Peaky Blinder. A shitey Peaky Blinder.
He looks like somebody that's come out of a Christmas movie who's not eaten 3 months. He's hat off with, and he looks like somebody out of an advert for like homeless charity. And I love homeless. Trust me, I don't
disrespect to the homeless, of course.
Well, I listen to all the homeless community. I mean, my heart bleeds for everyone. He looks like somebody out an advert, like you get any old jumpers or something. And I'm sorry to try and make it a joke about it, because I know it's not a laughing matter, of course, but he looks like, I'm like, if I was sitting in a house party and I said to you, what's your job? And you said, I'm the assistant manager for Celtic, I would fucking roll off a chair laughing. It looks like nothing like that at all.
So what's the potent meme though that he did? He falls asleep, mate. And was that Nonce's first game?
Paul Tisdale, the doctor.
Mate, falls asleep.
I know.
And this is the guy charged with employing him in the first place.
It's the first game he's been there, Bhoycie.
Right. So he falls asleep during the football of the guy that he's employed. And do you know what the connection is? This is it. And this is why he's perfect for Celtic, by the way. Can I just tell you that?
Did he play with him or something?
No, the assistant of Nonce was Tisdale's assistant when he was manager of the mighty Michael Jackson's favourite club, Exeter City. Exeter City. Oh, he was good for me there. So naturally, if he's with Nonce now, that means that Nonce lad must be good. I keep saying Nonce lad. That's not going to go down well with the old algorithm. But when it comes down to it, this guy has been charged with identifying the next Celtic manager, and he is used as lazy a link as what you would expect of the Celtic board to normally use when it comes to employment.
Very Celtic.
So, and he falls asleep at his first game in charge. Mate, I mean, don't get me wrong, Martin O'Neill fell asleep during one of his press conferences, which was probably having it sit next to fucking Kasper Schmeichel.
Don't get me started on that.
Oh, I know. There's a lot to cover tonight, but Kasper might be for a special episode somewhere else. But I just feel that sums up everything that's wrong. And what the board have also done with this is not done their due diligence on Paul Tisdale's research and recommendations, but perfectly engineered their next fall guy. You next in the hot seat, son. You're going to get the billet. Your manager's going to get the billet, and we're going to save this. Damn it, Desmond, jets into London. Nobody fucking cares, mate, about all this pish now. We've heard all this shite a million times. Damn it, Desmond was so angry at Rangers fans. He got Rodgers. Damn it, Desmond falls out with all of the board to employ Tisdale, but saves the day and what brings back Martin O'Neill for the third time, goes through his little black book of fucking names. Some of them are about 104 years old now. Fuck off with all this. Who employed Tisdale and who let Tisdale make these crucial decisions? That's whose head has to be in the chopping block next. Tisdale by default goes. The manager by default will go. It's a matter of time, guys. If it's not today, it's going to happen. He'll not be there by the end of January. There's my take. By the end of that window, some other manager will be the one holding a shirt with some loan signing that we've made on January the 31st. Right? That is just the way I see it. But he'll go. Tisdale will go. But who's employing these people to employ these people? They've got to go.
Of course they are, boys. I mean, don't forget, during COVID, Celtic asked for they're going to hire somebody to do an investigation into the club, and they say they've hired a company to find somebody to do it, and then they end up at fucking Gordon Strachan's door. I mean, what's that Kevin Bacon thing? The 5 degrees of separation. Celtic, you only need 1 degree of separation. They will find you. If you've been to Celtic before, you will be back somewhere. I think. See guys at Charlie Mulgrew. That's why you know guys at Charlie Mulgrew just know they talk a lot of shit, but they must just be a toxic person in general, because he's been for interviews for Celtic coaching gigs and get told to fuck off. Yeah. Normally, all you go to do is say, I played 10 games for Celtic.
Maybe that's the apprenticeship though, Charlie. You've not done enough media promoters yet. Come back when you've got 2 years under your belt doing it.
Oh, definitely. I mean, he's an fucking arse piece. I think the only person, I'm just very, very quick, the only person that's ever come out of any Celtic dressing room and got a media career and come out pretty well. I thought actually Murdo McLeod was pretty good on BBC, but the only one I could say that's come out and kept his dignity is Chris Sutton, you know what I mean? And that's, in my opinion, Neil Lennon's a million times made an arse of himself, and so's them all. But anyway, I'm digressing. But no, boys, I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be there long. But it could be, I mean, I had a theory that the Celtic board wanted to show us, I don't know, boys, he's fucked off. The Celtic board wanted to show us what hard times looks like by hiring this guy and really showing us how bad it can be at Celtic. and we would somehow create some sort of atmosphere where we're feeling grateful for the last 10 years, the last 15 years. And by getting in somebody who's an absolute tosspot, a manager, we will start to realise how lucky we were to have Neil Lennon, how lucky we were to win trebles and quadruples and all the rest of it. We're sitting just now.
How lucky we are to have the board to save the day.
That's what I'm saying. That's the point I was going to get. Maybe you're right about that. Maybe like it's like I think there was an old Roman emperor who decided to starve the population so he could save the population again because he had a bad rep. I think
what they call it, a false flag, Mark? I think they call it.
I don't know what it was, but I can't remember. But he decided to starve the population. He was holding back the grain so that he could find a way.
With the grain.
Then go, oh wow, look, this guy's a hero. He's a god. But what happened was something happened there, and he ended up killing about 1 million people, and they ended up killing him and all. But anyway, I think that's a plan. You know what I mean? To maybe potentially do that or make us feel like, do you know what, we're a bit harsher on Lawwell and Desmond, and I don't know how this board think, Bhoycie. They don't think individually, or they just think in tandem. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, I love to be a fly on in a meeting them to see what their actual thought process is, because judging from what I heard the other day there, if we spoke to this guy 5-6 weeks ago, that tells you he was option number one. He was target number one. You know what I mean? And you go, really? I mean, there was managers out there. Celtic have got the ability, the gift Celtic were given. O'Neill gave Celtic a monumental amount of time for Celtic to get it right. It was
whilst improving the platform. Whilst improving what the actual the incoming manager was.
He didn't just hold the fort, he improved it. I didn't hear one Celtic fan complaining, oh, it's been 5 weeks now. Nobody was saying one word. So if ever there's a time for a board just to sit back, take stock, see what was out there, gauge managers that are due the sack and other clubs who might do well at Celtic, i.e. this boy that gets sacked for Bruges. Things like that, you know what I mean? Rather than just looking at the landscape and make a decision, they'd already decided to get the guy in, and then they held it back for his work permit or whatever it could be, you know what I mean? Or the paperwork. Held it back and all the rest of it. And I just felt it was a one time Celtic board had great. It was a one decision this Celtic board have made in a long, long time where they had total grace given by the Celtic fans. There was no pressure whatsoever for them to dive into that situation. The Celtic fans realised it was a big call. They were quite grateful to have Martin Neal back in the end up. We were quite happy to get the results because the Celtic fans can be very foolish, Bhoycie, but the majority of us, we know a good team when we see one. I think this is the worst Celtic team in my lifetime. I heard Craig Levine say it's the worst Celtic team in his lifetime, and that guy's in his 60s. And I believe him, and I believe myself. So we're under no illusions this team only going to go on a 15-game unbeaten run. We knew the results are going to be going bad from week to week. We're going to be struggling. But Neil just stemmed that. One thing Neil brought back straight away, Bhoycie, is, and there was bad games, do not get me wrong, but you were watching a Celtic team out there. A dominant Celtic team who did not make an ass of themselves week in, week out. I cannot say that at any point under Nancy, it's been 4 long, long games where I've felt this is a proper Celtic game. There was moments against Dundee United. There was some small moments against St Mirren when we equalised. But other than that, it's just been players playing within themselves. A formation that's that confusing that probably even our coaches don't know what's happening.
Mark, here's a quick question on that, and I'm going to move on to another topic that Condors has brought up. But out the 4 games, I want to know what you think Martin's results would have been. I don't need big explanations. Just go for it. I don't need the score lines, but starting from Hearts at home, what's the results under O'Neill?
He'll beat Hearts. I think he'll get something after Roma. He'll have won the cup.
Won the cup.
And he'll have won last night, Bhoycie. I think somebody said we've not lost a game up there in so many years. It took that guy one day to undo the hard work Martin O'Neill.
Took him 15 minutes as well last night, because you give Martin O'Neill that first half last night and tell him what to do at half time, and we win at 3-0. I know it's sad harking back to this, but Martin O'Neill's memory is a recent one. It's relevant, it's current, because it's the same group of players, same excruciating circumstances under this board, with fans sort of split that's going on right now. All of those were concurrent under O'Neill as well. You just didn't feel them as much because of the presence, because of the respect that he had, every interview he did, the way he commanded his audience with, I thought, a lot of humility.
Okay, man. Boys, I've got a question for you. Well, I remember it.
Yes.
A quick question, right? If you said this to me 6 months ago, I've laughed in your face, right? Sean Maloney, failure at Hibs, although I think he didn't get enough time. That's another story. And he's done some work in England, blah, blah, blah. But if O'Neill came in, maybe given an 18-month contract, right? There's a buy-in there. You go, right, okay, he's got 1 or 2 transfer windows to go. But the clear path is, if he's successful, long-term, Maloney's going to be getting guided into becoming the manager again. The Celtic, you know what I mean? I would take that buy-in before I would take us hiring some Scandinavian guy we've never heard of. Would you go down that route, or would you just trust the board to make the right decision?
I don't trust the board to make the right decision. I happen to be of the belief there is a right decision out there, which I think piqued my interest with Wilfred Nonsi talks today or whatever. I thought, I wonder if the reason I sort of bought it straight away, I know it's Peter Martin who said it's a bit of a fanny, to be honest with you, but the reason I bought into it was because there's a manager available. He is a bit of a fanny.
I know that's the way you say that. How matter of fact it is.
We've never changed on the bus. There's 250 live, by the way, so big thanks to you all for tuning in. It's been a very busy show. Listen to your shite. I'm a bit of a fanny as well, by the way. So it takes one to know one. But the reason I sort of bought into this narrative, Mark, right, that potentially Nonsies was having talks about leaving today. I tell you why. Because Nicky Hayen, I don't know how to pronounce it, from Club Bruges, he was let go a couple of weeks ago. After we've, of course, committed to Big Nonsi and we're doing the 13 weeks of paperwork that Martin O'Neill was actually quite comical about when he says, I might tell him there's some more paperwork to get through and get another week out of it, which I thought was good pattern on his part, right? But Nicky Hayen, to me, fits that demeanour of how you grab a club that's got potential, get the team shifting, and he can tell you from his experiences on what transfer flipping looks like. And if you watch how club broke their record all the time, they kept breaking their transfer record, but they were breaking their sales record. They didn't keep going the same market. They upscaled their market, but they upscaled their sales. Do you get me?
Mm-hmm.
I think he would be someone to me that you would go, he's got a track record of winning leagues, track record of diving relatively deep. I think, in fact, really deep for a club of Club Bruges' stature in the top tournament. He's got that experience beside him. Trophies, European experience, transfer flipping, turning players of X million into XX million. That is boxes that we need ticked. Now, that would be someone I think would be far more encouraging for me to go all in on, especially when they're available right now. And he's going to come in with that clout. I think he does get the respect from the fan base straight away because he's done it at that competitive level. And I think he's more realistic. I think with Martin coming back, I think, again, that older gentleman like him, call him gentleman, see, not an old man, gentleman, because I love him that much. You have to remember this. This is a manager who fell asleep at a press conference at one point.
Did they actually force him? I seen that.
He definitely nodded off, but he didn't know what had happened there, and he was like, I've done it at my desk, like after my lunch. See if you have like a stodgy lunch, mince and tatties for lunch, you're like,
but you know something?
He didn't know what happened.
But when he was at his peak at Celtic, nobody ever said that he was out in the training run getting his bits every day of the week. He had that presence about him. He knew how to direct. Every good manager delegates, Bhoycie. Delegates the coaching staff and all the rest of it. I don't need the guy to be. I mean, listen, in 2025, is he going to be the manager that takes Celtic for 2-3 seasons? No. I think he is what we need just now until we find a manager. A day. Would I be disgruntled if he come back as Celtic manager for a year? Probably no. Game one window, Bhoycie, and we might see tactics that we thought were kind of older school. But I think all schools coming back. Not just your intro just like You're seeing folk with two up front and all the rest of it. You know
You're
what I mean?
so right. Longer
I don't
balls.
think there's anything wrong with that, Bhoycie. And if part of the stumbling block at Celtic was Peter Lawwell, which I fucking believe firmly it was, if he's new out the window in December 31st, where he belongs, and I hope it's a fucking tall window, the top floor, to be honest with you, and he takes Hearts with it, doing well. Then the Celtic manager, whoever's going to be, was going to have a clean slate in terms of the Celtic fans, because we're at the lowest we've been since COVID, Bhoycie. As a fan base, we're almost apathetic. As a fan base, we can't really feel any worse towards
You're
the
predicting defeats.
And
see, when you're predicting defeats right now, that's when I become. Did you predict last night we'd lose?
I predicted we would lose against St Mirren or not, actually.
So did I. Mate, I got offered a ticket. My brother phones me on Chippy and I went, Jonathan, I don't want to be
I'm not even going Sunday, Bhoycie. And I've got one. I'm not even going Sunday.
Why?
I've got the appetite to go to Celtic Park and watch that under him.
Here's my next question for you. Yeah, sorry, go.
I might not even go to the Derby match either. And I never thought I'd say that. I've got a ticket there for Livingston and all. I've got no intention to go to that game. No intention whatsoever.
So here's my
because I could.
Here's a question. I put it on Twitter, and I think it's fair. We've got still 225 watching live right now, so there's a big audience here. And
it gets worse.
I know. Well done though for sticking around. To those who have. When it comes to Celtic, and be honest with yourself right now, what aspect of Celtic do you support? In the current, present. For me, it is complete memories. It's a complete family-built adoration and love and connection. That's the word I was looking for. Connection I have to the club because my dad instilled it in me. And he's not with us anymore and stuff like that. And of course, that does take it, if you know what I mean, to that. It's a bond, right, that will never be broken. And I'll always be super invested in everything Celtic. If I take that cap off, which isn't easy to do, but if I do take it off, I hate the people who are in power at Celtic. I hate their messaging when it comes to politics. I hate the way they treat their own fans with disdain. I hate the way they sit at an AGM and talk about the supporters. Mm-hmm. I hate the way I don't have the same level of relativity to the players that I used to have in the old day. That's a football thing, by the way, not just a Celtic thing. And I accept that. But I don't have that same... See, even Alan Thompson, when I was 14, I felt I could relate to him. Even though Alan Thompson was a multi-millionaire, he felt like a working-class hero in the park. That's just one random example. You never felt, when you looked at Neil Lennon, there was a multi-millionaire on 30 grand a week. You looked at him, just someone that was... There's something relatable about like him, and now they're not relatable. So I hate that aspect. And I hate the way they've, to me, not even picked up a tool for the manager, whether we like his messaging or not. There is a complete lack of respect being given to the manager from the players as well. Let's have that right. Then it comes to the management side of things. I don't buy into that. And I've got a support base who, on the whole, at this moment in time, I feel very much firmly on their side. But throughout recent history, the last couple of years, I've seen messaging, and I've spoken about it freely on here, being told who to vote for and stuff like that, when if you actually opened your eyes and knew anything about politics, you'd realise they're all the same fucking colour of tie underneath the colour that you see. And you would actually have half a brain. To then say that people are unwelcome because they're Tory, like, if you voted Labour, you would be welcome. I mean, how's that working out for you? All this stuff fucks me off. Yeah, it fucks me off. And I look at it and I go, what is it I'm still in here for? And I do believe it's mythology, it's connection from, obviously, my dear dad. And I think it's something that, thankfully, because of that being ingrained into it, you can't shirk it, so you're always going to be part of it. But there's not many aspects, if any, right now, of Celtic we view on the 18th of December 2025 mark. I'm actually all that on board with.
No, you're right. The way kind of put myself in your camp as well with that is I don't think the team we've got are likeable at all. There's not many players that park that are likeable. Celtic fans don't relate to them. They don't. There's no like you look at Angie's team and Roger's team. There's just so many likeable characters. So many people that you felt like, like they were Celtic men. You know what I mean? I don't really feel like that just now. And there is obvious ones like McGregor and Tierney and even guys like Ralston that are Celtic men. But I don't feel any connection to them anymore, Bhoycie. Not just because they're millionaires or whatever the case might be. I just don't feel like they're giving everything either, Bhoycie. When I looked at Luke McCowan at the second goal last night, he was lazy as fuck. You know what I mean? You look at Rio Hatate in the first goal against St Mirren, lazy as fuck. The effort these guys are putting in isn't the same. You know what I mean, Bhoycie? We kind of sit and bat for these guys after part when they're asking us to support them, but they're the only part doing it for us, Bhoycie. You know what I mean? And not just about the results. I feel like for a long time now, the Celtic teams become a bit unlikable. I think Kasper Schmeichel, when you look past his grinning and look past his wee tidbits, he's actually a bit of a prick and all, to be quite honest with you, the way he shouts at linesmen.
A virtue signalling bastard.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, Bhoycie. I don't think as a player that...
Has he got Joe Hart-itis? I think he's like, but he's took it on tenfold. I think he's out further than me.
But see, the thing is, what I feel like you like Joe Hart or hate him. I love Joe Hart, really do. But Joe Hart was being natural to that was being true to himself, Bhoycie. I believe the things he says and the way he was true to how he felt.
I think it's when both of them knew their powers are fading, they become these people, because that then that gives them more plus points in the, oh, look, I'm a leader now, I'm in the leadership group. They're conscious of it. They're definitely conscious of it. Conscious of their powers are fading.
They know how to spin a sport and all the rest of it, but
they know their powers are fading.
I think if you met Joe Hart in an airport and you asked him, he says probably some of his best times in his career were spent at Celtic, Bhoycie. No his playing ability or performance-wise or even the heights that he got.
We saved him though.
I know, but that aside, I mean, even it's quite pro quo, Bhoycie. Nobody can deny that. I mean, but
good phrase.
Thank you very much.
I love that.
He loved his time at Celtic, Bhoycie. I felt that he felt a genuine connection to Celtic, a genuine connection. I think he would probably sit in a conversation with English media off camera and stick up for the Green Brigade, stick up for the people singing against the poppies and all the rest of it.
Kasper, I think he's too big time for it.
I think Kasper Schmeichel, I think he's come up here and he's
a bit big time, eh?
He's never been his dad's name, Bhoycie. He's got his dad's name, but he's never been his dad. You know what I mean? And he probably feels like a wee bit, thingy towards that because of that. But I've never bought into him. I've never bought into him, Bhoycie.
I did initially, mate. I really did.
I remember the first time somebody took a video of him when he was the Champions League music was on. He was going like that, but then he kept doing it. I thought you're trying to appeal to a certain section of the fan base who love that, and I just want players just to be natural, Bhoycie. Just be totally natural. Don't say or do anything that goes against what you naturally think or feel. And I feel like he was. You said virtual signaling. That's a good way of putting it. I think layman's terms a bit false. I mean, totally honest.
I think Smell the Glove's on to one here. Smell the Glove, great to have you on as always, mate. And he says Kasper hasn't recovered from the injury that he got last season with Denmark, and that's right. We forget that he had that injury, and I think there was. See, when he first joined, mate. I know maybe your memory's playing tricks on you, Mark, a wee bit.
It was great for the first few months.
Yeah, remember,
but I didn't buy him though. I didn't buy into him.
That's fair. But I think levels of ability-wise, I wasn't so interested in buying into him because the clean sheets were speaking for themselves. The lack of goals, because I'm sure, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure
there was some 3 or 4 goals at home until the last couple of games of the season, and they just went a bit
it was crazy. But I think that
he almost broke records.
Yes,
it was. In fact, he was going to do it. It was the match he was going to do it. I think Liam Scales gave a goal away in the last 2 minutes of the game.
I think the 3 goals against.
Remember?
Yes, the 3 goals against Rangers League Cup final. That's when it all changed for me. I know Swell God brings up the injury, and by the way, there could be a lot of fucking truth in that, mate, as well. And I hadn't thought it for that prism. But now the hand signals are far more noticeable. The tutting at fans and stuff. Know your role. Shut your mouth. Sit back down. Or get in a solo in. You do need senior players, mate. But I do feel sometimes you get guys that their key aspect or the biggest skill set they're bringing to the table is being a senior player as opposed to the playing abilities. Do you get it?
Rather than acting like a player. Rather than acting like somebody.
The playing bit's leaving them.
Your one doesn't mean you're default behaviour like one. You know what I mean? And
yes.
I mean, sometimes you feel like the biggest arseholes in your work are the guys that have been doing a job for 30 years. The laziest cunts are the guys who don't take the change and all the rest of it. Bhoycie, I feel like it was finished for me after the cup final against Aberdeen. But there was signs before it. But even this season, he's been culpable for so many things. So many things. Again, the other day against St Mirren. And then he's got to be at the team. Of course he has. But
can we go to another senior player? But I know we're pushed for time a wee bit. I know you've got places to go. Condos had brought up a comment. I did promise I was going to read it out. I've lost it now. But I had intended to read it out at the time. Did I keep it? Did I keep it? No, I didn't. Right. I'm sure it was along the lines of, though. No, it's not there, mate. It's not there. Don't worry. It was along the lines of, though, Mark. And it's an interesting one that people have picked up on. Callum McGregor's not done a presser since Wilfred came in. Now, it's only been 2 weeks, by the way, everyone. So that could be an absolute pie-in-the-sky theory that Callum McGregor, throughout his Celtic's period as captain, has went 2 weeks without doing a press conference. He's went 4 games. But you were talking about this earlier, and this is why it ties in. And I meant to, why it would have tied in had I brought it up at the time. Because you were saying about when a guy needs backing for the club, needs promotion, needs sort of that out there with all the backing. There's another great example of Callum McGregor did nearly every post-match interview or press conference under O'Neill for those 7-8 games. That's someone helping someone over the line, mate. That's someone going, come on. But the same way Martin did for players, Callum McGregor's doing it to Martin, which he needed. Yeah? I find it fascinating that he's not involved and that his theories out there, and I've seen it in the comments in our chat tonight, that he is not being pushed to go out to them because what if he were to speak his mind, it might not be on message, shall we say. And I've got to go back to you said there was one for Hearts, and that's fine. I'm gutted that I've not picked up on that at the time. But it adds weight to what we've seen with those subs with Kieran Tierney at the weekend. Because something happened there with, I think, I'll be honest, I think it was mistaken identity and a lack of player knowledge. I mean, Martin O'Neill was meant to be the guy who didn't know who was who, right? I keep going back to him, but right. But I think Nonce's pulled over the wrong player, or it was the right player, and then he thought it was the wrong player, and there's been a moment of uncertainty as to why the fuck are you here? Is it you them taking off? I don't actually know, right? Callum McGregor's not going to like that shit. Is there a reason? I'm speculating here, of course, but I'm going with speculation that's been made by viewers tonight on here, and I've seen it on Twitter as well, that Callum McGregor isn't doing the pressers at this moment in time because his backing of the manager that you would expect to firstly be on brand, a minimum expectation of a club captain, and to be pretty animated in terms of support for a new manager would actually be missing. And that's why he's not there. What's your thoughts on all that?
Well, first of all, I was told today in work with somebody who sits in the good seats that he heard that McGregor had went to Tisdale about the training sessions under Nonce says the worst he's ever came across his football career. That's already been brought up to him. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's a bit of distance. These guys don't just talk for the sake of it. The guy who taught me today, Bhoycie, and that would actually add up because I don't feel like us. Well, of course, I don't feel like the players have bought into the manager. I don't feel like the fans have at all, and I don't think the club have either, Bhoycie. Hence why, as we said, no press conference, unveiling, no protection for the media, you name it. The guy's been put out there and told to sink. He's even been given one paddle. He's just been put in a dinghy and just pushed out the ocean. But I just don't like. So I'm going to be surprised, boys. After I'm a bit like you, boys. I bet there probably has been 5-6 weeks where he's not been the. I think it's a bit of rotation. The other day that was Johnny Kenny, it was Bernardo. You said earlier on. It's always like wee bits. Who's to do the pressers?
But when you're firefighting, Mark, this is firefighting.
He should be getting up there to answer questions and to almost. I mean,
he's not been asked.
And the thing is, as well, like, would McGregor be willing and eager to be part of the probing that you're going to be getting after the media, like what's going wrong just now? I think most people would want to avoid that. Let's be honest, fuck it.
But when you're captain, that is the memo, right? That's the memo. The worst one of a new manager ever.
You've got to, as a captain, my captain should be not only talking to the media, he should be showing it on the park as well. And see if McGregor,
yeah, go on.
He's been the one better. He has let us down once or twice this full season. He's been good. Still played well with Finn.
He's had a better year than last year, I think.
He was shite last year. This season, he's the only one that he would say pass marks. But as you said, maybe there's a wee bit of thingy there. The one who really questions, the one who I really, really worry about is a guy who just looks like a shadow himself is Kieran Tierney. I'm actually praying that Sriracha comes back injured, boys. And the collective groans in Celtic Park a few weeks ago when Sriracha got injured tells everybody what they need to know about who they think is the first choice left back. You know what I mean?
It's a sad tale. With Tierney's not been as bad, by the way. But again, and I always say this about players, right? I've said it about many. Yang got a free pass, and there's maybe a player in there with 3 assists in 50 games, right? Palma had double-digit goals, 7 assists or something in his first 30, and was like, basically when he had a dip, was held against the standards he began with. I might have made up, by the way, both those stats.
No, I think you're right, boys. And
I was like, Palma and Yang are not held to the same par. They're held to what you expect of Palma and your low expectations of Yang. And I think
Tierney as well, boys. So you're right. He's
Tierney is held to fucking up there, and he's not.
What we cost it, boys. He's like
sad to me.
And he's terrible, boys. He's lost confidence, or he's lost some level of ability, or there's something in that guy. I think I was fooled into believing the guy who was strolling the Scottish League against some pretty poor teams was world class. I can see that was probably exaggerating there. But
I disagree with that, because I'll tell you this as well. Arsenal fans were not happy to a man that he wasn't involved last season.
True.
Because we get tagged not all right, because Celtic, this is before Tierney had announced he was rejoining, because any ex-Celtic player, we seem to have an overinvestment of interest, I think, in where they're at, up even 5 years later. But you were seeing it getting reposted left, right, and centre by Arsenal fans going, get him in the team. Like when he's came on, he's done. I think though you're watching a body that's failed a man, and we discussed this quite. Do you remember the deep dive we did this? Celtic have a lot to answer for that, for not tooling up a squad as usual, and him being relied on as a 17-18-year-old.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Do you remember that chat we had?
Yeah.
Celtic actually owe a lot of debt to the fact Kieran Tierney's body is in the shape it is. Don't fucking forget that, because he was an over. I know some people might go, 18, I was fit as a fiddle at 18, I could play every week. But either way, a club like Celtic shouldn't be relying on an 17, 18 novice who looks the part, is playing the part to play 50 starts a season. And that's what we did, because we refused to tool up properly. And I think you're now seeing, like you did with Michael Owen, who started at the same age, was overplayed by Liverpool. What was he like at 28? Done. Flashes. Moments where you go, that's the guy. That's the guy. That's that player that you were. Overall, nowhere near the same. I think that'll be something I always look at with sadness. But what I will tell you, though, is if we're talking about senior players and their importance, he's one you keep around. He's one who goes fucking nowhere. You do not let that go.
Of course. I'm not getting fed up. I'm not getting fed up watching them. Somebody was saying something the other day there, like some players that they're getting fed up watching, and they're talking about Tanecki and that, and I was like, I would put.
Tierney's got more goals than Tanecki.
Sir?
Tierney's got more goals than Tanecki.
Yeah, see, Tanecki, boys, he makes me think I was harsh on Mikey Johnson and harsh on Palmer, harsh on Haksabanovic.
Palmer, definitely. But we spoke about Palmer on here, and I went, there is something personal. People never play the ball, they play the man. I don't mean on the pitch, Mark. I mean fans.
Because he was a wee arsehole, wanted dancing.
He's got an unlikable side to him. So what? So do you. So do I. That's the reality. See if you're fucking getting 250 on a Thursday. We're producing the numbers, mate. And so is Palmer.
It just shows you how important it is. It goes back to the conversation we had 10 minutes ago. Just shows you how important PR is. Just shows you how important a club backing a person is and supporting a person is. You talk about Palmer. I think Palmer was lost. He's probably after field antics before he was lost on the park. And with the same conversation about nonsense as well. Like he was never going to make it at Celtic, Bhoycie, because he was never backed vocally, or even physically backed. I mean, like, I've never seen a Celtic manager. I mean, even when you watch some of the shit you watch for the early 90s, and you see the old school teacher's desk, and there's freedom sitting in it looking cheap and nasty. You still saw the chairman and the board of directors sitting next to their man, sitting next to Lou McCarry, next to Brady.
You're so right.
And
you're so right.
Even if it was just to sit, even if it was just to tell the media, right, we've got his back here. Even if it's just for the media's sake, like we're the barrier for diving in on him.
What do you make of Nicholson doing that in-house interview yesterday then, which effectively did do that? He spoke, I don't know if you watched it, I watched it. He spoke of supporting or talking with Nancy only yesterday about the January and the summer window. In theory, what you've just described as you've been looked for has happened, but when it's retrospective like that and it's an in-house, it doesn't carry any weight, especially when you know Michael Nicholson only speaks with a script.
Well, I think that was a wee bit of PR. That and the Brian Wilson stuff was
scripted.
That was scripted, but the full interview was just about telling the fans we're going to buy players in January and summer. That's the thing. That's all it was telling us. That was, please get our backs. And another thing, just before I forget to say this, if the Celtic board had one sliver of evidence that Peter Lawwell was attacked, or three different people were attacked, they would have posted that online or to the Sun in a fucking heartbeat. It tells me that it's a lot of shite. The stuff with Lawwell, just like COVID, he fucked off when it was going bad, Bhoycie, during COVID and all. It was always going to happen. But
he was always leaving at this time. You heard the rumours as much as I did, Mark, that he was meant to be announced at the AGM was originally the plan. We heard this 3 months ago.
Aye.
That he was meant to be announced.
I said maybe that was going to happen, and they went like that. Fuck yous.
And what they've done, though,
one man who stopped it, and he stopped it, Bhoycie. He stopped it. So maybe you're right.
This is my farewell.
He's went like, I'm having my goodbye in front of all you arseholes, because one thing I'm not doing is giving you the satisfaction. And I'm surprised he gave us the satisfaction last night of letting us know that he left because he is. I'm shocked at that, because
I think it's politics, mate.
Something tells me that him being the kind of guy he is, that he would have wanted to give the Celtic fans that over him.
Normally,
you push me out.
Normally, but I think in this instance, he's went, now you've got a fucking dossier of evidence, because it's a huge story. A chairman resigns due to fan abuse to his family. That is now the Celtic board have their narrative now set installed. You watch that Michael Nicholson interview, sir. Within the first 60 seconds of it, he is pushing. I said in my tweet, hell bent on reassuring you that the only reason Peter Lawwell's leaving the building is fan abuse to his family and unacceptable levels.
Their own monster strangled that headline, because their own monster stole the headlines by losing the game last night. So there was no room You only get one back page and one front page, Bhoycie, and there was no room for a side story of Peter Lawwell leaving because of the fans. In fact, in your opening monologue, it took you about 5 or 6 parts of your opening gambit spiel before you mentioned Lawwell. Every other day of the week, that would be your fault. Your first focus would have been Lawwell.
Well done.
That would be the headline, Lawwell out. But the main monster they created, which is nonsense, he forgot to read the script and we get beat last night, which meant every focus for the media, the fans, all the memes, all the gifs, everything was all about nonsense. And not anybody's got the brain space now for listening to bullshit about Peter Lawwell. So see that wee dig at the Celtic fans that they were having, it fell on deaf ears because the main story is nonsense. If I was under Rodgers or under O'Neill and all the rest of it, the story this morning would have been 1-4-0 last night. But would you make of the pesky Celtic fans?
Brilliant. You're so right.
Flinging sweary words at the Celtic chairman and had to leave. You know what I mean?
So right.
And one more thing.
Thank fuck we've got a manager who doesn't read the script.
Aye. While we're sitting defending each other as Celtic people, since when, just somebody that wants to correct me on this, since when was there dawn raids and folk getting their doors kicked in for a breach of the peace? Since when were people getting their doors kicked in for a breach of the peace, Charles Bhoycie? Like the Celtic fans who were getting their doors kicked in at the carry on, or the supposed carry on at the Celtic Falkirk game. I've never heard anybody saying they get their door kicked in for a breach of the peace charge. Never in my life have I heard that. You probably didn't get stopped in your car for that. You have to be lucky to get caught with that, right? So it stinks to high heaven, this shit. The same folk, actually, I heard another podcast or two that they had their season tickets linked to an old address or whatever it may well be. It's the only people who knew where these guys died was Celtic. The head of security just happened to be an ex-chief of police. Now, if that isn't both horns washing each other, I don't know what it is. But just somebody must correct me on this, Bhoycie, but I've never heard anybody get their door kicked in for a breach of the peace. And I just think it's important that if Nicholson and Brian Wilson and fucking King Charles, whoever it is, wants to sit and back Lawwell up against the Celtic fans, it's only right to actually back my Celtic fans up. Well, I've got a platform and tell them that
there's some breaking coming for the viewers, of course. Not from me and you.
For fuck's sake.
Sky Sports latest, the board are backing nonsense.
Well, I take back any ounce of fucking credit I nearly gave them. Well,
I know. That's why I've kept John so much later, Mark, because you were so close to changing.
No, well, I think if they sacked him, I'd have said they're a board that at least looks like they want to change their ways. They look like at least they want to admit. And if they're backing that Arsenal,
they're virtue signaling
5,000 fans at the games because I'm not going. I'm not fucking going. No chance am I going to watch that arsehole Paul's fucking tactics board sit there with these stupid fucking memes and gifs that he's turning the club into every week. Fuck off.
What do you make of the tactics board thing being an unnecessary addition to his profile, his imagery, if you like? Why go that far? Like, again, he can't be naive. I'm 38, he's 48. You're not that naive as a person, Mark. Where this will not get pulled up on. I didn't know I was in Glasgow. I've never seen anyone with one of them, mate. Ever have I seen anyone with one of them on the side? Right? So
the naked gun boy say he's turning himself into
Deflection again.
Isn't he? He's turning himself into a spoof, Bhoycie. And I don't think he knows the landscape. What do you think?
I think he's came in and decided that the Scottish Goldfish Bowl, whatever it may be, he has earned his stripes in the MLS, and by overcoming that, he will be able to overcome this in the same manner. I think the same way I'll go back to it. Postecoglou did down south. He finished 17th with Spurs. 17th, right? And I'll tell you this other thing. Apparently, and again, no research done, right? So you can fact check me, please, someone in the chat. Apparently, his last 33 games at that Columbus Crew, he'd won 7. So I don't know if that's true. Because they went mid-table. I mean, after a full season, like he'd won the cup and all that, and the league. I think he won 2 different cups over there, like a league format, a cup format. Sound. Shankland comes in, a Hearts fan. I mean, you're loving this, mate. You're loving this. And by the way, fair fuck, Steve, for sticking about and be respectful in the chat. I love that. All supporters are welcome if they can be respectful in the chat. He won 11 of his last 33. Well, 11 rhymes with 7, and 7 is my narrative, right? No, 11 from 33, mate. And as Simon Jordan spoke about the standard, like he invested in it back in the day. He says he was out as recently as last season, and he says, yeah, you don't understand. He goes, there was 3 players for Inter Miami who could trap a ball. He goes, one's Messi, the other 2 are Barcelona legends like Busquets and Alaba, I think it was. And he was like, he goes, I can't emphasize enough how bad the rest was. Like, he goes, it looks great, Beckham's ownership and that. He goes, they win. He goes, but this Nonce guy, he spoke about it. He says, his track record in that league being the basis, he goes, is nonsense because the standard there is so bad. And his record there, when you look at as a win percentage, is really poor. Wee Jinky comes in. I think that's Alex. It used to say the person's name. Now it just seems to say like your hat handle. She says it will be win the next 2 games or you're out. I think no way they'd be stupid enough to blindly back him. Surely, I mean they blindly appointed him, Alex. To be fair, but I think you're right. Apparently that was one of the other stories doing the rounds. That the bargaining chip that Nonces gave it is give me 2 more games if you're thinking of getting rid. Before we go, Matt, I just want to wrap it up. We're playing Rangers on the 3rd of January. I'm not asking you if you will be in charge for that game, but what I'm going to ask you is by the end of that football match, will Wilfred Nonce still be the manager or will he not? And that might mean he's been removed before that game, it might not. But by the end of the New Year derby fixture, will Celtic still have Wilfred Nonce in charge?
I think Celtic will be sitting 3rd after that match, and I think he'll know last the day. I think.
So do you think he'll still be in charge for the game? Then you're kind of clarifying.
Possibly, Bhoycie. If they're going to give him a couple more games,
yeah,
I think he'll be there, Bhoycie. And I think after the match, you'll probably see a fan base standing at the front door waiting on him coming out. And I think
January the 4th, he won't be in charge. Is that fair?
No, correct. Aye. And I think, Bhoycie, I think we will be 3rd.
Yes,
we'll be 3rd by then.
I think that's fair.
We've went for catchphrases like domestic bliss to absolutely fucking praying for some sort of level of mediocrity. And I've told you all along, Bhoycie, that domestic bliss is really all that really matters to us all is what we really need at Celtic. And I think what we're seeing playing it just now is the actual frenzy that happens when Celtic don't have a manager capable of delivering what the Celtic fans expect. And
but ironically, a fans collective was formed based on a European failure as well. Just to add that in. And
I think the
Kairat was the trigger.
The main thing was the transfer window.
But only if we get through Kairat, mate, that transfer window doesn't get highlighted. We've seen this movie with the Celtic fans before. It doesn't, mate. It was the failure in those results that highlighted the window.
I think when Rodgers come back, there was levels of expectations that
were shooting the groups.
Chipped. But the fact that we sold Kuhn, we sold Kyogo, we were selling Ida, that we sold Matt Riley.
We got away with it.
And this is just home to us, boys. I've said for long enough that Celtic managers we've had the last maybe decade or so have managed to, in spite of the board's decision making, create a successful Celtic. Now the board's decision making has been shown up for what it is: lazy, inept, and just guesswork. Yeah. And we've got a manager who looks inept, looks like he can't guess, and it looks like he just isn't going to work.
Yeah, well, it won't be on my guest list this Christmas anyway. But anyway, we'll leave it there. We will leave it there. It's been a brilliant, Mark. Brilliant to catch up with you in general, mate. Always enjoy your company, as you know.
Cool.
It's been great to do it to over 200 people live, which is the sort of box office numbers we expect on this bus when we return. It was like we're like Mark Morrison returning the Mac. That's what it was like, mate. But anyway, we'll get the fuck out of here before I talk any more pish. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Thursday. We'll see what happens to Celtic. I'm not saying promising emergency pods or any of that shit. Leave that to the folks that are immersed in that. But I'm sure we'll be back soon. I'll see you all later.